Hey, let me ask you a question. Robin Bullock, Timothy Dixon, Julie Green. This is God's new David. And he's blowing it on the topic of abortion. He just told you his true stance on abortion, and it doesn't match the Bible. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to be a coward and not address this issue with your new David? Or are you going to stand up and say Trump is wrong right here? All right, folks, thank you for stopping by the Alabama Woodsman. If this is your first time here, I hope you can find something that you can get from this video. And if you are a return viewer, you're obviously a glutton for punishment, and I appreciate that. All right, folks, so there was this interview with President Trump, and it was very enlightening. It was very telling. It was very surprising. I have a question. For all of you people who think this man is the new David, how do you defend this interview?
First, I do want to talk about the issue of abortion, which is important to a lot of voters all across the country. How is it acceptable in America that women's lives are at risk, doctors are being forced to turn away patients in need, or risk breaking the law?
Ready? Roe v. Wade, for 52 years, people, including Democrats, wanted it to go back to states so that states could make the right. Roe v. Wade, I did something that nobody thought was possible, and Roe v. Wade was terminated, was put back to the states. Now, people, pro-lifers, have the right to negotiate for the first time. They had no rights at all. Because the radical people on this are really the people, the Democrats, that say after 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, and even after birth, you're allowed to terminate the baby.
Democrats aren't saying that. I just have to. Democrats are not saying that.
Of course
That's
they do.
Not true.
You have a Virginia governor, previous governor, who said after the baby is born, you will make a determination, and if you want, you will kill that baby. The baby is now born.
Democrats writ large are not talking about that. Only 1% of late-term abortions happen in. Always in the state of
They are
crisis.
the radical people because nobody wants to see abortion after 5 months and 6 months and 7 months. And now it gave people that believe in pro-life. Look, just so you understand, it's pretty much 50-50. It's a 50-50 issue. Amazing. If you look at the charts, it's been 49-51. It's been like that for many years. Goes both ways. 51, both ways. Ready? I was able to do something which gave at least pro-life people a voice. Now it's going to work out. Now the number of months will be determined. And you're going to have something where everybody comes together.
So did you catch that? Do you see what just happened? Folks, negotiating, all right? When you negotiate, you have at least two people. They're in a disagreement. Negotiation is the art of getting someone to give up something and you gaining, and at the same time, this person giving up something but them gaining, so that it feels like a win-win, okay? You don't want to lose-lose. You don't want one side to win. You want a win-win. Folks, unfortunately, or fortunately, that way you look at it, any negotiation on abortion is a lose for the pro-life side. Trump just gave it away. He just told you there's going to be an agreement on the months that an abortion will happen. Bottom line is, it's still gonna happen. He just told you. You're just gonna have to negotiate how many months it can happen. That's what the man just said without really slapping you in the face with it. It's not about whether it'll happen or not. It's about how many months, at what age the fetus will be terminated. That is what the negotiation is. So from the get-go, with Trump as the negotiator or the mediator, pro-lifers lose. You cannot debate what I just told you. You have to listen to what they don't say. If you get nothing else out of this video, you realize what Donald Trump is doing. He is solidifying abortion law in America. It will never be undone. They will say, well, you guys agreed on it. He's solidifying it. See, right now it's a matter of, oh, well, it may happen or may not. It depends on the state. He's going to make it where it is law. He's working for pro-choice. His stance makes abortion law solidified in America. There will be no more question of right, wrong, legal or not. That's what he's doing.
What's going to happen, this is an issue that's been going on for a long time, and it's a very polarizing issue. Because of what's been done and because of the fact we brought it back to the states, we're going to have people come together on this issue. They're going to determine the time.
Folks, that's the second time he said it. The negotiation is not whether abortion should happen or not. It's at what time it's going to happen. That's where he wants the negotiation. The negotiation is not whether abortion is right, wrong, or any of that stuff. It's not anything about whether it's a child or whether it's a mass of cells or whatever. It's none of that. It's about what time can an abortion happen. Folks, it's going to happen. He just wants to debate on when it's going to happen, which is a lose for pro-lifers. So let me give you a kind of an analogy of this, or just a little different way to look at it. Let's say, for instance, they bring you into the office. You're working. You've worked all this time. You're doing a good job and everything. And they say, you know what, Woodsman, we're going to cut back, and we're going to cut your job. And the woodsman says, well, wait a minute. That's not really fair. I wasn't the last one hired, so I shouldn't be the first one fired. I've worked. I've always been productive. I get along with my coworkers. So really, you shouldn't be getting rid of me. That would be my point. So the person across the table says, we're going to fire you. And I'm saying, no, don't fire me. And then the person across the table says, well, let's negotiate. Tell me, when do you want to be fired? No, I don't want to be fired at all. No. That's not what we're negotiating. You're going to be fired. It's just a matter of when will you feel comfortable at getting fired? You're going to be fired. See, you're negotiating the wrong thing, Trump. You shouldn't be negotiating when the abortion's going to happen. You should be negotiating if the abortion's going to happen. And you had it right the first time. This is a states' rights issue. So these women who are filing suits saying that their lives have been put in danger, hey, folks, it's your state. If your state decides it, that's not Trump's doing. That's not the federal government's doing. That's your local government's doing. Now, I said you're negotiating the wrong thing. There is no negotiation. The pro-lifers should not negotiate anything. If you are a true pro-lifer and you are a true Christian, you can't negotiate this issue. It's a no-go. You can't do it. Now, anything you negotiate, you end up losing from that point. If you say abortion should never happen, but let's negotiate, be prepared to come off of that abortion should never happen. You're going to lose that point because you got to go towards the middle, and then hopefully they come towards the middle, and you guys meet in the middle. Well, guess who moved off of their mark? The pro-lifers. See, we talk about Republicans and Democrats. Democrats are always saying, hey, you guys need to unite. We need to unite. That's code for you give up the way you believe and believe like the liberals. That's their point of view. For a lot of Republicans, it's no, give and take. That's not the way it is for liberals. Liberals, to unite and to come together means you see it our way. Well, you can't do that in this issue. If you give up anything in this issue in a negotiation, you are creating abortion. If all you're talking about is when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Who cares when it's going to happen? It's still going to happen. You see the point. You can't negotiate time. Time is not the subject in this matter.
Because nobody wants to see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Nobody wants to see abortions when you have a baby in the womb. I said with Hillary Clinton when we had the debate, I made a statement, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month. You're allowed to do that, and you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Again, no one is arguing for that. That's not a part of anyone's platform, Mr. President.
The Democrats are able to kill the baby after birth.
Let me talk to you.
Nobody wants that.
Democrats don't want that
so
either.
We're going to come together.
I want to know what you want. I want to know what you're going to do if you're
reelected. We are going to come together.
Would you sign federal legislation that would ban abortion at 15 weeks?
No. Let me just tell you what I do. I'm going to come together with all groups, and we're going to have something that's acceptable. Right now, to my way of thinking, the Democrats are the radicals, because after 4 and 5 and 6 months, but you have to say this, after birth. You have New York State and other places that pass legislation where you're allowed to kill the baby after birth.
Now, he is a good negotiator in this. You notice how he keeps hitting that point, because that is a point she will lose. And she keeps trying to deflect the point. Okay? He won't let her off the hook. He keeps coming back to that. Nobody wants to see that type of abortion. Folks, pro-lifers don't want to see any abortion. Once again, he's not debating the correct subject. It's not a matter of if after birth, abandonment abortion, whatever it's actually called, I don't know what the right term is, or 9 months, or 8, or 7, or 6, or 5, or 4, or 3, or 2, whatever it is. If you agree to a time, you're agreeing to abortion. You are no longer a pro-lifer. You cannot be a pro-lifer and say we'll settle for 6 months. 6 months. After 6 months, we'll agree. You can terminate the pregnancy. You're no longer a pro-lifer, folks. This God's new David man. This man who they say is God's new David. By the way, I wonder what David thinks about all that. God's new David. He's going to do what's right. Folks, he just told you he wants abortion. It's just a matter of at what time. Hey, let me ask you a question. Robin Bullock, Timothy Dixon, Julie Green. This is God's new David, and he's blowing it on the topic of abortion. He just told you his true stance on abortion, and it doesn't match the Bible. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to be a coward and not address this issue with your new David? Or are you going to stand up and say Trump is wrong right here?
Mr. President, I want to give voters who are going to be weighing in on this election a very clear sense of where you stand on this.
I think they're all going to like me. I think both sides are going to like me. What's going to have to happen is you're going to have to listen. You're asking me a question. What's going to happen is you're going to come up with a number of weeks or months. You're going to come up with a number that's going to make people happy.
Folks, that is not a replay. That's the third time he's told you abortion is going to happen. It's just when is it going to happen? We're not negotiating if it's going to happen or not. We're going to negotiate on when it's going to happen. Folks, he's losing the debate and the negotiation before it ever gets off the ground. He knows better than this. He's not stupid. He's not a pro-lifer.
Because 92% of the Democrats don't want to see abortion after a certain period of time.
If a federal ban landed on your desk, if you were reelected, would you sign it at 15 weeks?
Are you talking about a complete ban?
A ban at 15 weeks.
Well, people are starting to think of 15 weeks. That seems to be a number that people are talking about right now.
Would you sign that?
I would sit down with both sides and I'd negotiate something, and we'll end up with peace on that issue for the first time in 52 years. I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think that
I
goes
think what
too
he
far?
did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake.
Robin Bullock, Timothy Dixon, Julie Green. If you think DeSantis, his abortion regulation is not strict enough because the baby still loses, the fetus still loses its life, what do you say about this? He just said DeSantis law that is restrictive. It was stupid. It was dumb. The new David just criticized DeSantis' abortion bill or his law. How are you okay with that?
But we'll come up with a number, but at the same time, Democrats won't be able to go out in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months and allow an abortion. And Kristen, you have to look at this because you said no. You have some states that are allowed to kill the child after birth, and you can't allow that.
Notice how he framed it. We're going to come together and pick a time. But you've got these far left liberals who say even after the baby's born that you can abandon it and it can die as their legislation dictates in those states. Here's what he's done. He's moved the goalpost. The goalpost has been moved from no abortion to, well, we don't want this, so we need to pick a time between no abortion and this. Guess what happens? You leave your mark of no abortion. You lose. I don't care if you say 1 second after conception, you have lost the argument if you believe life begins at conception. It's not a matter of picking a time. That's like picking, we're going to execute you. Pick the day you want to be executed. Really? I don't have any choice other than to be executed in the first couple of weeks or wait for 9 months to be executed? Either way, it's still an execution.
But, Mr. President, again, no one is calling for a child to be killed after birth. No one's calling for that.
But you have legislation.
He's right. There is legislation out there. And she's wrong and she can't defend it. It's why she keeps going back to it. He keeps hammering the point that she loses and she keeps trying to deflect it and save it. And she really can't.
Let me just ask
Kristen, you have legislation in certain states where it's allowed.
Mr. President.
The governor of Virginia, previous governor, who was a whack job. I call him the Michael Jackson governor.
No one's talking about that as part of their platform. I want to know what
that governor said you can kill the baby after birth.
But, Mr. President, this is about what you would do if you were reelected. As you know, you upset
We will agree to a number of weeks, which will be where both sides will be happy.
Folks, that's the 4th time he said it. Abortion is coming. It's just what week is it going to happen in? That's what he's negotiating. What week? Not that it's going to happen or not. It's going to happen. It's just what week. Folks, that's the 4th time he said that. How about it, Bullock? How about it, Dixon and Green? How's your David faring now?
We have to bring the country together on this issue.
So did you hear what he said? We have to bring the country together on this issue. Folks, the country can't come together on this issue because the line is not when it's going to happen. The line for pro-lifers is whether it happens or not. He's playing the wrong game. Actually, he's playing the right game. These people don't see it.
Mr. President, when you talk about negotiating, I think a lot of people think to themselves, this is an issue that they care about deeply in their hearts. They know where they stand, and they want to know where you stand. As you know, some anti-abortion groups are really looking for some clarity from you. So let me just ask you to put a fine point on this. Should the federal government impose any abortion restrictions, or should it be completely left up to the states?
No, I don't think you should be allowed to have abortions well into a pregnancy.
But what about the question I just asked you?
No, we're going to agree to a number of weeks or months or however you want to define it.
See, what he does is he moved the goalposts. We shouldn't have abortions right before the baby's born, but we're still going to have it. Let's just don't have it real close to birth time. Folks, that's the 5th time he has said It's coming. That's not the question. It's just, when is it coming? Folks, he's already given it up for the pro-lifers. The pro-lifers do not have a champion in this man, in this issue.
And both sides are going to come together, and both sides, and this is a big statement, both sides will come together, and for the first time in 52 years, you'll have an issue that we can put behind us.
At the federal level?
It could be state or it could be federal. I don't frankly care.
Folks, I want to take you back to a time when Timothy Dixon said he had a dream or a vision or an experience where he and Robin Bullock were buck naked and they were walking in heaven. And naked Bullock and naked Dixon are walking there, and they end up in this room, just in the very opening, and God's in this room, and they're standing there naked. And Bullock rolls out a scroll signed by all the Christians with their tears. And God says, "You come to me on this day. What do you ask of me?" And Bullock says, "We want our country back." And then God says, "Granted." Now, Timothy Dixon and Robin Bullock will tell you that God gave us our country back, and it happened when Roe v. Wade was taken out of the federal level. That's when they said God gave us our country back. Donald Trump just told you he doesn't care if it goes back to the federal level, Mr. Dixon, Mr. Bullock, Ms. Green. He just told you he doesn't even care if it goes back to the federal level. He doesn't care if all the ground that was gained is lost again.
So you're not committed to a ban at the federal level?
I will say this. Everybody, including the great legal scholars, love the idea of Roe v. Wade terminated so it be brought back to the states.
It sounds like that's what you think, too, that it should remain a state issue.
I would say this. From a pure standpoint, from a legal standpoint, I think it's probably better, but I can live with it either way. It's much more important. The number of weeks is much more important. But something will happen with the number of weeks, the amount of time, after which you can't do it.
Folks, that's 5, 6, and 7 times he has said the debate is not whether abortion should be legal or not. The debate, the negotiation point is, when will it happen? And he just said for the second time, he doesn't care if it's a federal issue or not. He's okay with giving up the ground that he helped take back years ago when Roe v. Wade was struck down on the federal level. He just told you he doesn't care if they lose that ground. This man is no David. This man, I'm going to tell you what he's doing right when we get through. At the very end, I'll tell you what he's doing.
So you're not committed to a ban at the federal level?
I will say this. Everybody, including the great legal scholars, love the idea of Roe v. Wade terminated so it be brought back to the states.
It sounds like that's what you think, too, that it should remain a state issue.
I would say this. From a pure standpoint, from a legal standpoint, I think it's probably better, but I can live with it either way. It's much more important. The number of weeks is much more important. But something will happen with the number of weeks, the amount of time, after which you can't do it. And you know what? The most powerful people that are anti-abortion are okay with that now.
And you know what? The most powerful people that are anti-abortion are okay with that now.
And you know what? They weren't okay with that even a year ago.
Folks, he just threw the most anti-abortion people under the bus because he said, you're okay with the picking a time frame now. Did you hear the man say that? He said, he's speaking for the most anti-abortion people, and he says, they're okay with that now. Are you? Hey, pro-lifer, are you okay with that? Mr. Bullock, Mr. Dixon, Ms. Green, you guys are really anti-abortion. Your David just said you're okay with it now. And he ended that with, that change just happened this past year. Folks, what happened this past year to make all the most anti-abortion people okay with now picking out a time frame on when it's going to happen? What happened? What changed? I'm going to tell you what changed in a minute.
Your former Vice President, Mike Pence, believes that a fetus should have constitutional rights. Do you believe that, Mr. President?
Mike Pence said something about 15 weeks, too, which was a big change for Mike Pence because Mike Pence had no exceptions. I have exceptions, by the way. I think people should have exceptions. I think if it's rape or incest or the life of the mother, I think you have to have exceptions.
Does a fetus have constitutional rights, Mr. President?
And a lot of people, when they don't have exceptions. Now, I will tell you that I think most people, most Republicans, are willing. You go life of the mother, rape, incest. I think most of them are there.
But should a fetus have constitutional rights, Mr. President?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what he's saying because before he wanted, you couldn't have abortion.
But what are you saying?
Now all of a sudden,
what do you think?
Excuse me. Now all of a sudden he's saying 15 weeks. I said, wow, where did that come from? That's a radical change. Look, something is going to happen that's going to be good for everybody. And that's what I'm almost like a mediator in this case. They wanted Roe v. Wade terminated because it was inappropriate. We got it done. Something's going to happen. It's going to be a number of weeks. Something's going to happen where both sides are going to be able to come together. And then we'll be able to go into other things like the economy, our military.
Are you saying a federal ban with exceptions? Is that what you're saying?
What I say is very simple, because you can't put words in my mouth like that. Because you've been hearing me talk about this issue, and I think talk about it very productively. It could be a state ban. It could be a federal ban. But Democrats want that, too. Democrats don't want to see abortion in the 7th month. Okay, I speak to a lot of Democrats. They want a number. There is a number, and there's a number that's going to be agreed to.
Folks, that's number 9.
And Republicans should go out and say the following, because I think the Republicans speak very inarticulately about this subject. I watched some of them without the exceptions, et cetera, et cetera. I said, other than certain parts of the country, you're not going to win on this issue. But you will win on this issue when you come up with the right number of weeks.
Folks, that's number 10. Do you hear what he said? No abortion is a losing topic. You can't win. He's given up the fight into, look, let's just manage the damage. Let's limit the damage. Folks, this man is not your champion. He's not your champion. You think this man is going to fight for you in this issue, and he's not. He just told you he's going to be a mediator. He's going to let these two people duke it out, and he'll be the mediator. He's not choosing the right politically. He's not choosing pro-life. He's in the middle watching it happen. He just told you when he said he'll be the mediator. He is not on anyone's side in this, which means he is not on your side, Robin Bullock, Timothy Dixon, and Julie Green. He's not on your side. If you're not building, you're destroying. If you're not on the right, if you're not on the pro-life side, you are pro-choice.
Because Democrats don't want to be radical on the issue, most of them, some do. They don't want to be radical on the issue. They don't want to kill a baby in the 7th month or the 9th month or after birth. And they're allowed to do that, and you can't do that.
How many people are going to see this? How many people are going to understand what he just told them? He gave you a subject and he's talking about it, and that's not even the issue. The issue is, Mr. President, are you going to fight for pro-life? And he told you no. He has given up the fight. It is now a matter of, let's just figure out how many weeks that the abortion can happen. All right, folks, that's the video. Let's just pray real quick and we'll get out of here. Lord, Father, thank you for all that you do for us, how you provide for us and how you protect us, Lord. Father, right now, I just I pray for those mothers who are making this choice, Lord, that you would just move on them to do the right thing, Lord. Let your Spirit be there. Give them all the reasons. Show them all the reasons they need to choose life. Father God, I ask that you open the eyes of the people that think this man is their champion in this subject, and he's not. He just told us. It seems like so many people are blind to what's being said nowadays. They hear what they want to hear. They defend people that are indefensible. Lord, send your Spirit to them to show them what the way is supposed to be like. Father God, I thank you in the name of Jesus. Folks, that's a video. We'll see you again on the Alabama Woodsman.